Welcome to the Further Light Podcast, presented by Wisconsin Freemasonry, helping you accomplish your Masonic goals through education and more light. And now, I present to you, Brother Chris Ludke.
Listeners, scholars, brothers, this is Brother Chris Ludke, and today I want to explore the letter G. It's one of the few parts of one of the degrees that I haven't really gotten into here, and it's an interesting one. I'm going to be drawing off of a book, in large part, Approaching the Middle Chamber by Jamie Lamb, which I highly recommend. But let's get into it, the letter G. Today we're focusing on a single letter, the letter G, prominently displayed in lodges, nestled between squares and compasses, seen all over Masonry. What does this letter signify? Is it a reference to God, geometry, something more profound? Join us as we explore the layers of meaning behind the letter G in Freemasonry. So let's start with the prominence. Why is it all over the place? Now, in many Masonic lodges, the letter G is displayed oftentimes at first between the square and compasses. We're all familiar with this symbol. We've seen it driving into towns or on the front of Masonic lodges. Now, this symbol is not merely decorative. It holds a deep significance within the fraternity. The G itself is often interpreted as representing either God or the grand architect of the universe, emphasizing a spiritual foundation to Freemasonry, but also stands for geometry, highlighting the importance of this science in Masonic teaching. This dual symbolism connects the divine with the scientific, reflecting the Masonic pursuit of knowledge and moral development. So when we look at the G, when it refers to God, it's representing the divine presence, the moral compass guiding Masons in their action, the use of the working tools in order to find our spiritual home or build our spiritual temple. As geometry, it symbolizes the scientific and philosophical principles that underpin the universe, the ability to measure and understand all things on the earth and surrounding it. This duality reflects the Masonic belief in harmony between faith and reason, encouraging members to seek truth through both spiritual insight and intellectual inquiry. This combination between the two would seem to be two ends of a spectrum, the spiritual and the intellectual, but Masonically they're not. We'll get there. The letter G in ritual often serves as a reminder of the divine and the importance of moral conduct, the importance of looking at our soul, at the spiritual, understanding that what we do here will affect the afterlife, whatever form that may take. It's a symbol that urges Masons to reflect on their relationship with their Creator and their responsibilities to humanity. The presence of the G is a constant prompt for self-improvement and adherence to the principles of brotherly love, relief, and truth. The winding stairs represents the pursuit of self-improvement, a theme echoed in the writings of Mackey. The candidate embarks on this path of personal growth, striving for intellectual, moral, and spiritual elevation created by that image of the winding stairs. The struggle of life, both material and spiritual, is encapsulated in this upward climb, in those winding stairs where you never really know what's around the corner. Only those with courage and determination can really achieve true enlightenment, as knowledge is not simply handed down but must be actively sought. You'll get out of it what you put into it. How many of us have heard that before? But what I'm saying here is to find that enlightenment, to find that knowledge, you have to actively go out and find it. And that's what the G is trying to remind us. The winding stairs serve as a metaphor for the continuous pursuit of wisdom through the liberal arts and sciences, leading ultimately to an understanding of the divine laws governing the universe. At the top of these winding stairs, we find that G is both a symbol of what we have accomplished and a goal for that which we have yet to obtain. What goal? Well, understanding the spiritual. Up until this point, we've been focused on knowledge, on the intellect. And this is that transition where we move into understanding the spiritual as well. The sciences lead us to develop the skills required to contemplate the sacred, represented by the letter G. Now, looking at Jamie Lamb, in his book, Approaching the Middle Chamber, he explores the esoteric aspects of Freemasonry, particularly the second degree, which emphasizes the 7 liberal arts and sciences. And he discusses how geometry is central to Masonic teaching. He says, geometry is seen as the foundation upon which the superstructure of Freemasonry is built, symbolizing the order and harmony of the universe. By studying geometry, Masons are encouraged to understand the natural laws and apply them to their moral and spiritual lives. The candidate is informed that it is by man's observation of the celestial bodies that his study of the laws of nature, her symmetry and proportions, that he was inspired to imitate the divine artist in his own terrestrial work. In essence, man, having learned a little of Deity's creative modus operandi, could imitate his method. Man had, in essence, extrapolated the laws of geometry from nature and utilized them to worship the divine through patterns he left in nature. Let's use some examples here. For example, phi, 1.618 to 1, which is the ratio of the human body, and put into numerical terms, becomes geometry. And that ratio is seen throughout nature, in where stems grow off of trees, the placement of leaves, or the general proportions of just about any animal you find. And so by being able to use geometry to capture those patterns placed by the Creator, we are able to perfect something. We are able to connect, in the most perfect possible terms, geometry and deity. Thus, the letter G. Man, through the G of geometry, can begin to understand the workings of the G of God, the intellectual and the spiritual combined. A very similar idea that we looked at a little while ago with Vitruvius. This is why we're using geometry, because geometry reveals the patterns of creation, which allows the development of the spiritual. Now, there are broader implications as well. Beyond its immediate interpretations, the letter G invites contemplation on the interconnectedness of all things. It encourages Masons to consider the balance between the material and the spiritual, the known and the unknown. But much like the mosaic pavement, it can also point out to the inspired inquirer the artificial construct or separation of the material and the spiritual. They're not separate, but rather serve one another. The spiritual inspires the material, much as the builder, inspired by their God, creates a temple or a cathedral to his wisdom. And the material can serve the spiritual. That cathedral inspires the worshiper by creating what they would have seen as a miracle on earth. Incredibly massive, incredibly bright indoor space. There's a lot more to it, but I won't get into it here. That allows them to truly contemplate the spiritual. So the spiritual serves the material serves the spiritual, and they are one. They aren't two opposites. It's a spectrum between the two, and they can serve each other. And that's one of the main points of Masonry, that the material, those working tools, can serve the moral, the lessons that we gain from them. By meditating on the symbolism of the letter G, one can gain deeper insight into the Masonic journey, the pursuit of enlightenment. Knowledge must necessarily lead to contemplation of the spiritual, and we climb the final steps of the winding staircase and can finally discover the mysteries of the middle chamber. So when we tie this up, when we look at embracing the symbolism, the letter G in Freemasonry is more than a symbol. It's a gateway to understanding the profound principles that guide the fraternity. It encapsulates the essence of Masonic teachings, blending the spiritual with the scientific, the moral with the intellectual. As we conclude our exploration, let us remember that the symbols, like the letter G, serve as tools for reflection, guiding us towards a more enlightened, a more purposeful life. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep unveiling the symbols that shape our world. Thank you for joining me, Brother Chris Leakey, and the entire Further Light team on your quest to find more light through Masonry.
Are you interested in learning more about Freemasonry in Wisconsin? Visit wisconsinmasons.org to learn more about Masonry and access further educational content and more light. Once again, that address is wimasons.org. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email us at education@wisconsinmasons.org. And thank you for listening.